Chapter 5. The Reset Mindset. What is the reset mindset? Up to this point, we've looked at resets as actions, moments when you correct course, sharpen your edge, or upgrade your vision. But behind every reset is something far more powerful: a mindset. The reset mindset is the belief that resetting is not a last resort, but a way of life. It's choosing to see every success as the beginning of something greater. It's training your mind to welcome change, growth, and bigger visions rather than fear them. A fixed mindset clings to the past goals, past identities, past victories. The reset mindset allows you to evolve with every step. It's not about what you've done, it's about who you're becoming. Reset question: do you see resets as failures or as opportunities to rise higher than before? The athlete's advantage. Champions don't stay champions by winning once. They reset. An athlete doesn't stop training after a title. They reset their body, their training cycles, their strategies, and even their mindset. Every season is a fresh start. Every fight or game is followed by an adjustment. They understand that what made them successful yesterday won't necessarily keep them at the top tomorrow. The athlete with a fixed mindset says, "I've made it." The athlete with the reset mindset says, "I'm just getting started." Reset question: if you treated your life like an athlete treats training, where would you be in the cycle right now? Preparing, competing, or resetting? My Muay Thai reset. Years ago, I put Muay Thai aside. Life got busy. Work became my focus. I told myself that my fighting days were behind me. But then I realized that belief was just comfort talking. I pressed the reset button on my mindset. I went from, "I used to be a fighter," to, "I can still push myself and step back into the ring." The training was hard. The hours were long. The medal I won was a milestone. But the real victory was the mindset reset. I refused to accept that my best was behind me. That's the reset mindset. It doesn't let you get stuck in the story of who you used to be. It challenges you to keep writing new chapters about who you are becoming. Reset question: where in your life have you accepted a story that says, "Those days are behind me"? How could pressing the reset button rewrite it? Ego versus reset. One of the biggest barriers to the reset mindset is ego. Ego whispers, "You've already proven yourself. Don't risk starting again." But ego is the enemy of growth. If you let it, ego will keep you clinging to old victories instead of chasing new ones. The reset mindset silences the ego. It says, "I respect what I've achieved, but I refuse to let it be the limit of who I become." The ego wants safety. Growth wants stretch. The moment you start believing your own success story too much, you stop creating the next one. That's why people who press the reset button often seem fearless. They've learned to quiet the ego long enough to act. Reset question: where is your ego keeping you from pressing the reset button? My business resets. Every stage of my career has been built on resets of mindset before resets of action. I started with one tenant in one property. My mindset was small: provide a home, do it well, and feel secure. Then I hit reset. What if I could do this for others on a bigger scale? That's how corporate housing began, serving celebrities, companies, and teams from around the world. Then I hit reset again. Why only manage? Why not own? That mindset shift grew into a real estate business. Then another reset. Why stop at ownership? Why not build? That reset created the construction company my partner and I lead today. And now, the reset mindset pushes me forward again. Why stop at construction? Why not combine construction and real estate into development? Each new path started with a mindset reset, a belief shift. The actions that followed were only possible because the thinking had changed first. Reset question. What mindset shift would unlock the next version of your career, business, or personal growth? Fear versus reset. If ego keeps you stuck in the past, fear keeps you frozen in the present. Fear says, "What if I lose what I already have?" The reset mindset says, "What if I miss what I could become?" Fear paints resets as starting over, but resets are never starting over. They're starting higher. Every reset builds on what you've already learned, earned, and become. The truth is, the fear of resetting fades the moment you take the first step. Fear is always loudest before action and quietest after. Once you press reset, momentum replaces fear with clarity. Reset question. What opportunity are you avoiding pressing the reset button on because fear tells you it's too risky? The cliff top versus the rock bottom. Most people fear rock bottom. Very few fear the cliff top. The cliff top is the place Will Smith described as the point where you've collected everything the world told you to chase: money, freedom, validation, status, experiences, even power. You reach the top, believing it will bring lasting happiness. But when you finally stand there, you discover a truth no one warns you about. There is nothing left to climb. The cliff top looks like a peak, but it feels like a dead end. It's where achievement stops creating meaning. Buying more doesn't fulfill you. Winning more doesn't change you. Freedom without purpose becomes isolation. Comfort without challenge becomes numbness. You look over the edge and see the downside of having it all. That's the cliff top. Not failure, but the end of happiness disguised as success. Rock bottom, the foundation for a new life. Now compare that to rock bottom, the place everyone fears. Rock bottom strips away everything that isn't real. Your ego breaks, your assumptions collapse, and what remains is clarity. Rock bottom forces honesty. It removes noise. It exposes what matters. At the cliff top, you look down. At rock bottom, you look up. Rock bottom becomes the foundation on which you rebuild a life that truly fits who you are becoming. It isn't the end. It's the beginning of a deeper truth. That's why so many transformations start there. When everything old has fallen apart, you finally have the space to create something new. Why the cliff top is more dangerous. Rock bottom pushes you to change. The cliff top convinces you not to. At rock bottom, you know something must shift. At the cliff top, comfort convinces you that nothing needs to. The most dangerous place in life isn't failure. It's succeeding without evolving. People think failure ends them, but more people end by success because they never reset. The reset button. How you stay off the cliff top. The reset button keeps you from reaching the emotional cliff, the place where the external world has peaked, but the internal world has stopped growing. Resetting while things are good keeps your purpose alive. Resetting in success keeps you from stagnating. Resetting when you feel comfortable ensures you never hit the ceiling of your own growth. You reset long before. Your wins stop exciting you. Your purpose feels flat. Your routine becomes autopilot. Your identity becomes outdated. Success becomes a cage. Pressing reset early is what keeps your internal world expanding. even when your external world is thriving. A personal cliff top. There was a moment in my life when everything looked perfect on paper. I had businesses, freedom, investments, and success I once only dreamed about. But I woke up one morning and realized something I didn't expect. I wasn't excited anymore. That's the subtle, invisible warning of the cliff. Not pain, but numbness. Not failure, but a lack of purpose. Not collapse, but stagnation. I had reached the end of my old vision, and because I hadn't reset, there was no room for a new one. That realization pushed me to press the reset button again. Everything that grew afterward, new companies, new direction, new purpose, came from refusing to let myself drift toward that cliff top, and instead ensuring there was always a clear path for growth, purpose, and goals aligned with my core values. How to avoid the cliff top. 1. Define your next mountain early. Don't wait for boredom. Redefine your goals before they expire. 2. Upgrade your purpose. If your purpose doesn't grow with you, success turns into emptiness. 3. Replace achievement with evolution. Ask yourself weekly, am I becoming more or just achieving more? 4. Watch for early signs of numbness. Loss of excitement is the first cliff top alarm. 5. Press reset before you need to. Reset proactively, not reactively. We often cling to identities we've outgrown. I'm the person who becomes a trap. The reset mindset breaks those chains. It frees you from being defined by who you used to be and allows you to step into who you are now. When people say, "That's just who I am," what they really mean is, "That's who I used to be." The reset mindset challenges that statement. It asks, who are you becoming? If you don't reset your identity, you end up like neighbors stuck living in the shadow of an old dream. But if you do, you continue expanding into bigger versions of yourself. Reset question. What identity are you holding on to that no longer fits the person you've become? Resetting perspective. Seeing your life through a new lens. Most people assume they need new habits, new opportunities, or a new plan. But before any of those changes take hold, you need something far more fundamental: a new perspective. Your perspective is the lens through which you interpret everything: success, failure, opportunity, risk, relationships, and even your own potential. It's not the world that changes first. It's how you see the world. And here's the part people often overlook. Your perspective ages. It belongs to earlier versions of you unless you update it. A perspective built in survival mode won't help you thrive. A perspective shaped by fear won't help you grow. A perspective inherited from others won't help you build your own life. Resetting perspective is the moment you stop seeing your world through the eyes of your past self and start seeing it through the eyes of your future self. Your perspective creates your reality. Two people can experience the exact same situation and walk away with two completely different stories. The difference isn't the situation, it's the perspective. One sees pressure, the other sees opportunity. One sees failure, the other sees feedback. One sees risk, the other sees possibility. One sees discomfort, the other sees growth. Perspective shapes interpretation. Interpretation shapes decisions. Decisions shape outcomes. If you don't reset your perspective, you keep getting the same outcomes even if your life has changed. This is why many people achieve more but feel the same. Their world expanded, but their perspective didn't. The perspective trap. There is a trap people fall into when they succeed. They lock in the perspective that brought them this far. and that perspective becomes a ceiling. For example, if you reached success by playing it safe, your perspective may tell you safety is the only smart strategy, even when your next chapter requires boldness. If you built your career by working harder than everyone else, your perspective may tell you that effort is your only value, even when your future requires leverage, leadership, and strategy. If you grew up with limited opportunities, your perspective may still interpret big opportunities as unrealistic, even when you're ready for them. If your perspective doesn't evolve, your potential stays stuck in a smaller world than the one you've earned. Your perspective must reset as often as your goals, or your goals will outgrow your perspective. A personal perspective reset. There were many times in my life when opportunity was right in front of me, but I couldn't see it. Not because it wasn't real, but because my perspective wasn't ready. In my early career, I used to interpret leadership roles as something other people stepped into. People with better English, people born here, people with connections, people with confidence. My perspective came from the immigrant version of me, the one who had to survive, not lead. Even when I gained experience, skills, and results, I was still seeing myself through an old lens. My world had evolved, but my perspective hadn't. The moment I reset that perspective from immigrant surviving to builder leading, everything shifted. Opportunities appeared that were always there. Decisions became clearer. My identity grew. My confidence aligned with my abilities. Leadership became my natural state, not a role I fought for. Nothing external changed at that moment. The reset was internal. A new lens created a new direction. How to reset your perspective. Here is the truth. Your perspective is not a fact. It is a choice. And when you reset it, your reality changes with it. To reset your perspective. 1. Identify the lens you're currently using. Ask, whose eyes am I looking through? My past self or my future self? 2. Name the limitation. Every outdated perspective has a sentence attached to it. I'm not ready. I shouldn't want more. This might not work. 3. Replace the lens. Choose a perspective that matches the identity you are becoming. 4. Act through the new lens immediately. Perspective changes identity only when you make decisions through the upgraded lens. 5. Let the new perspective rewrite the meaning of your experiences. Suddenly, challenges look like training. Risks look like invitations. Opportunities look like stepping stones. Perspective is a reset, not a reaction. Most people wait for life to pressure them into a new perspective after failure, heartbreak, loss, or hitting a wall. But the reset button allows you to reset perspective before life demands it. Resetting perspective early keeps you moving forward without requiring a crisis. It is one of the most powerful internal resets because it changes everything you notice, everything you interpret, and everything you believe you can become. 1. The Perspective Reset Framework. Perspective is not just how you see the world, it's how you interpret your place in it. When your perspective is outdated, your decisions follow the past. When your perspective resets, your future expands instantly. The Perspective Reset Framework gives you a simple way to evaluate the lens you're using and consciously choose one that's more aligned. There are 5 layers to this framework, and resetting even one of them can change your entire direction. 2. The lens you inherited. This is the perspective you were given, not the one you chose. It comes from your family, your childhood environment, cultural expectations, early struggles, survival experiences, teachers, mentors, community. This lens is powerful because it forms without your permission. Most people live their entire lives inside the perspective they inherited before they were even old enough to question it. Reset insight. You don't owe your future to the lens you inherited. You are allowed to choose a new way of seeing the world. 3. The lens you developed in survival mode. This perspective was created during your hardest years, the years when you had to hustle, grind, sacrifice, or fight for everything. This lens sees risk everywhere, opportunity as rare, safety as priority, effort as survival, stability as success, ambition as dangerous. It worked when you needed it, but a survival mode perspective is deadly when you're trying to grow. Reset insight. A lens that kept you alive won't help you thrive. Resetting perspective means retiring the survival lens that once served you. The lens that no longer fits your current life. This is the perspective that made sense years ago, but is outdated today. Examples. You see leadership as something other people do. You see money as scarce, even when you're stable now. You interpret ambition as greed, even though you've outgrown that belief. You still see yourself as an underdog when you're actually capable. This lens limits growth by filtering opportunities through an outdated identity. Reset insight. If your life has expanded, but your perspective hasn't, you will shrink yourself to fit the old lens. 4. The lens that matches your future self. This is the perspective upgrade. It comes from consciously asking, how would the next version of me see this situation? What would my future self interpret as opportunity instead of fear? What meaning would my future identity attach to this challenge? When you adopt the lens of your future self, your decisions change immediately. Opportunities feel natural. Leadership feels appropriate. Risk feels aligned. Growth feels expected. Reset insight. You grow into the lens you choose. If you choose the lens of your future self, you accelerate into your future identity. 5. The lens that creates the story you live by. Every perspective becomes a story, and every story becomes your life. Your perspective is the narrator of your successes, of your failures, of your relationships, of your opportunities, of your limitations, of your identity. If you don't reset your perspective, your old story keeps retelling itself even when you've outgrown the main character. Reset insight. You cannot live a new life with an old narrator. Reset the perspective arrow, reset the story arrow, reset the outcome. Putting it all together, the perspective reset loop. Every transformation follows this cycle. Recognize the lens you're using: inherited, survival, outdated. Identify how it limits your interpretation. Choose the lens of your future self. Make decisions through that new lens. Let those decisions rewrite your story. Resetting perspective isn't symbolic, it's strategic. It changes the meaning you attach to your experiences, and meaning is what determines behavior, momentum, and growth. Perspective is the world you live in. Resetting it expands your world before anything else changes. Reset questions. 1. What lens are you currently using that you didn't choose? 2. Which perspective helped you survive but now limits your growth? 3. Where in your life are you still interpreting situations through an outdated version of yourself? 4. What lens would the future self use that you are resisting today? 5. What story could you create if you reset the perspective that narrates your life? The Reset Ladder. Here's a simple tool to help you practice the reset mindset daily. The Reset Ladder. It's a quick way to shift your thinking whenever you feel stuck, uninspired, or fearful. Step 1. Awareness. Notice what feels stale, repetitive, or limiting. Step 2. Reflection. Ask, what has changed about me since I first set this goal? Step 3. Realignment. Redefine what success looks like for the person you are now. Step 4. Action. Take one step today that aligns with your updated goal. Step 5. Repeat. Treat resets as rhythm, not reaction. You don't have to wait for permission to climb. You start with awareness, and the rest follows naturally. Reset question. What step on the reset ladder are you standing on right now? Living the reset mindset daily. The reset mindset is not a major life moment. It's a daily practice. It means checking in weekly. Does this path still serve who I've become? Looking at success differently. Every win is not the end, but the start of the next climb. Seeing resets as natural, not dramatic. Carrying the reset button with you means you're never trapped. You can always pause, realign, and choose a path that matches your future self. Reset question. What would change if you lived every day with the reset button in your pocket? Becoming the reset. The reset button started as a metaphor, but with the reset mindset, it becomes part of who you are. It's no longer just a tool you use when needed. It's a way of thinking, a way of living. With the reset mindset, you don't fear growth, change, or new opportunities. You expect them. You welcome them. The reset mindset transforms success into a cycle. Achieve, reset, grow, achieve again. That's how you stay sharp, stay aligned, and continue becoming. Carry the reset button. Press it often, but most importantly, become it. Your reset mindset practice. The reset mindset isn't about motivation. It's about mastery, learning to live in a constant state of awareness, alignment, and growth. Before moving on, take a few minutes to reflect on where you are today and what version of yourself you're ready to grow into next. 1. The awareness reset. What areas of your life feel like they've stopped growing, not because they've failed, but because they've stabilized? Write them down. Be honest. 2. The ego reset. Where are you protecting old success instead of creating new ones? What would happen if you stopped defending your past achievements and started chasing your next ones? 3. The fear reset. What's one thing you know you need to do but keep postponing because of fear? What's the worst that could happen if you tried, and the best that could happen if you did? 4. The identity reset. What identity or title have you outgrown but still cling to because it feels safe? Who are you becoming beyond that label? 5. The reset ladder. Climb it one step at a time. Awareness. I can sense something needs to change. Reflection. I understand what's outdated. Realignment. I know what fits my new direction. Action. I've taken one real step toward it. Which step are you on right now, and what will move you to the next one? 6. The daily reset reminder. Every morning, carry this simple question with you. What part of me needs a small reset today? Write your answer. Then do something, even something small, that honors it. That's how you live with the reset mindset, not in giant leaps, but in steady alignment with your future self.